Hi everybody. I wanted to create a video this week so that we could talk a little bit about what is coming up next, and that is informative speaking. Informative speaking, you're going to see that there's going to be a bunch of small assignments that lead up to the ultimate goal of creating an informative speech. And so you'll see all the different assignments within the module, but I wanted to go over quickly what the end goal is and what we're working on here as a class. So first things first, your informative speech is essentially your midterm for class. It's more points than anything else we do other than the persuasive speech, which I consider your final. So it's more points than the quizzes you've taken or the small assignments you've done, and even more than the narrative or the introduction speech that you've already completed. This assignment is worth 100 points. And so I really want you to think about that in terms of the context of the class, that we're about at that midterm mark. With that said, this speech is 4 to 6 minutes. Anywhere between 4 and 6 minutes is your goal for this informative speech. You need 2 outside sources for the speech. So that means the 2 sources are going to support whatever it is you're teaching the class. And so that could be a website or a textbook or an interview or a documentary. And you're going to cite that orally in your speech. So according to Dr. Smith from Kaiser Permanente, and give us the data. It's also going to show up in a reference page at the bottom of your outline, and that should be an APA or MLA format on your outline. So it'll be in those 2 places. You'll read about that in the module, and there's an assignment related to that as well. The last requirement you need to be aware of is that you need a visual aid for this assignment, which means you're going to physically show us something. Again, you're going to read about how to present visual aids and what qualifies as a visual aid and what works and what doesn't work. But something to think about is that you're just going to show us something that supports in our learning and helps us understand your topic better. There's lots of reasons why we use visual aids, and so hopefully you can come to understand that and then get that done in this informative speech. I want you to know that I also count audio aids. So if, let's say, you're doing something related to music and it's more beneficial for the audience to hear the music versus see the musicians, feel free to also play an audio aid, and I will count that as a visual aid depending on if it's relevant for your topic. So those are the main goals that you're working towards when completing this speech. What you have to start with is figuring out, what do you want to teach the class? What do you want to spend your 4 to 6 minutes educating us about, talking about, helping us understand or learn about? And with that said, the goal of an informative speech, in your textbook, your author says the goal of an informative speaker is to increase knowledge, understanding, or abilities of your audience. So when trying to figure out what to talk about, think about, does it meet that qualification? Does it increase, meaning we don't already know it, does it increase knowledge, understanding, abilities of your college audience? So think about that when choosing what it is you're going to speak about. A couple tips and things that I would encourage you to think about before choosing a topic is, 1, make sure you pick something specific. I would rather you pick something super specific and go in depth on our learning and our understanding versus something really broad and kind of surface level. Usually that doesn't increase our knowledge, understanding, or abilities. For example, I would hope a student would not put up something along the lines of, I'm going to teach the class how to have a healthy mind and healthy body. That's a wonderful topic generally. The idea is great. But there's no way you can teach how to have a totally healthy mind and a totally healthy body in 4 to 6 minutes. We would need a whole seminar on that, right? So pick something specific, like, I'm going to teach the class how to do a 6-minute meditation that is going to help them clear their mind and become better students. Now that's a specific point within the healthy mind, healthy body topic. So kind of think about that when choosing your topic. Do you have something specific enough that you can go really in depth on for 4 to 6 minutes? The next thing I would think about is it creative? Is it something that most college students maybe haven't heard of before? Is it something you're passionate about, but when you talk about it with friends or coworkers, they're like, what's that? I don't know about that. That is an excellent topic for this assignment. We're trying to learn something new. And so if there's something different that you think people haven't heard of before, that makes it more creative. And I highly encourage creative topics for this assignment. Third, I want you to think about, is this something college students already know? So when students come in and they say, I'm going to teach the class how to make peanut butter and jelly, I think, well, I think the class already probably knows how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Now, if you're talking about how to make peanut butter from scratch and how to make jelly from scratch, maybe college students don't know how to do that as much. But a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a kindergartner could do that. So I want you to challenge yourself to pick something that college students don't already know how to do. Same thing with, like, I'm going to teach the class how to make chocolate chip cookies. Even if they're from scratch at that point, most students can read a recipe and figure out how to make a basic chocolate chip cookie. So unless you have some ultimate crazy recipe on chocolate chip cookies, I would encourage you to challenge yourself with something a little bit more difficult for this assignment. And then the last thing I want to encourage you to think about before choosing a topic is, can you present this topic in a neutral way? Meaning that you, in an informative speech, you can't have bias, or there should be as little bias as possible. Later in class, you'll get to persuade us. You'll get to tell us an opinion on something, why we should feel the same about it, and what your thoughts are on that topic. Later, you'll get to do that. This one, if you tell us the pros, you also have to tell us the cons. If you tell us the benefits, you also have to tell us the detriments. The goal is to make it neutral. So there should be no bias, very little opinion, and keep it as neutral as possible in terms of your stance or your thoughts on this topic. Again, you will get the chance to persuade later in class. For now, try to keep it neutral on these informative ones. You're just providing information and saying knowledge is power, have a great day, do whatever you're going to do with it, right? Persuasion, you'll say knowledge is power, now go do this about it, right? Okay, so that's the difference. You're going to read about, in terms of topics, that there's some different categories. Some of your topics might fit in multiple categories. Try not to get too caught up on that. It's a way to brainstorm ideas, though. So you can talk about objects, which are like people, places, or things. Concepts, which are theories, beliefs, or ideas. Process speeches are like the how-to speeches. It can also be how something works or how something's made. You're explaining the process of that. And lastly, there's events. And you could talk about a historical event, a current event, or the most relevant to your audience most likely, or a future event that hasn't taken place yet but will in the future. So those are the 4 categories, and again, it's just meant as a way to brainstorm some ideas so that you have an idea of what you could talk about for class. Couple last things before I sign off here. This speech is hard. This is where students say, hey, class was going really easy for me, and then I got that to informative speech, and that was hard. So what I want you to do is I want you to really time manage, to give yourself time to get this done. That's why all these little assignments I have leading up to the larger speech is so that you don't hit the deadline and go, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. My goal with the small assignments is then when you go to sit down to record, you've done most of the work up to that point. If you are stuck, please know you're not alone. So you have a couple choices. You can reach out to me and ask any questions that you have. I encourage you to do them earlier versus later so I can get back to you and we can work together. You have DVC tutoring, and I put up an extra credit assignment in the link, and you could do virtual tutoring, or you can go to campus and do face-to-face tutoring. Those of you who engage in 15 minutes of tutoring, I'll give you 5 extra credit points, and you're gonna need it for this assignment. So please don't hesitate. There are wonderful people who will help answer any questions you have, and there's no dumb questions because you haven't done this before. This is new. The last thing that I will tell you students struggle with is the technology aspect of uploading a long video to Canvas. So I have a help number here. You can write it down if you want. It's also in the module under helping students. It's a 24-hour helpline, and anytime that DVC students call, you're gonna get help. So the number is 844-303-5586, and they will help you with the tech aspect of getting your video uploaded. I will not be able to help with that because most of the time it has to deal with your recording device, your internet connection, and things that I don't have control over. So you want to call them and they should be able to help you get your video uploaded. Most students tell me that this one, the easiest way to do it is to upload to YouTube and then put the YouTube link, embed it into the discussion box, so when we click on it, we can just watch. Remember, I also have a link in the module that says students helping other students. So if you have a strategy that worked really well for you, maybe you put that in the discussion box so that students who do need a little extra help, you have a little tutorial for them on how they might be able to upload successfully. With all that said, I cannot wait to learn whatever it is you choose to teach the class. I'm curious and excited, and I hope that all of you have fun doing this assignment, make the most of it, and please reach out as needed. Thank you.